Hi everyone, my name's Paul and I run Lemon Angels. And what we do is we create videos to engage people to share particularly fundraising activities, helping people out to raise more money and to, for personal situations mainly, not for so much companies. But we do this free of charge. We will have t-shirts available in the future so we can do a lot more of this. But at the moment it's a matter of helping people that are in particular situations and giving them a boost up. So today I'd like to introduce Zach Hellman. You can see him on the other screen there. Hey, Zach and his family. Sorry, I've forgotten your wife's name.
Samantha.
Hi.
Samantha and your little man.
And this is Caiden.
Caiden. Hi, Caiden. Say hi to the camera.
Say hello, buddy.
He's already technology connected. Look at that. So what I'd like to do is sort of hand this over to you, Zach, and sort of tell me what's been going on in your life over the last few years with your family, and just tell me a bit about your story.
Okay, so, well, everything started, Caiden was born November 24th, 2015. 12 days after he was born, he started having some symptoms of abdominal pain. That's what we thought it was at first, was gas buildup. So we called his pediatrician and she suggested we give him gas drops. We did that, and a day later he was still crying. We gave him a little bit more gas drops. 2 days later, after we called the pediatrician the first time, his stomach just blew up in the matter of like hours. It was like a balloon, and there was veins that you could clearly see. It was bright and shiny. All these are symptoms of cancer that we didn't even have a clue.
So you could visibly see his stomach ballooning out. Is that what you're saying? Wow.
Yes. She's going to pull up a picture for telephone right now. But we just wrong that second day. We rushed him into the local hospital where we live there in that small college town, and they immediately did an ultrasound, and then they sorry they wanted to rush to Children's Hospital in Austin, Texas.
How far is that away from where you live?
That was about 45-minute drive for the ambulance. 3 o'clock in the morning.
Also, it was urgent, basically.
Yeah, all the freeways were clear, so we got there pretty quick. We had no answers. We had tons of questions. They rushed him in. They did X-rays. They did blood work. We got put on the cancer unit.
Is this before you knew anything? Are you still well ahead of anything, or are they presuming?
Or we just got straight put on there, and then the day, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning, so we had to wait for doctors to show up for their shifts and everything for the next morning so we can get some sort of answers.
Mm-hmm.
That was, doctor came first thing in the morning, 7 a.m., and told us, your son most likely has neuroblastoma.
So you need to first explain, so what does that really mean to someone who doesn't know?
So, yeah, that was completely unknown to us as well. We didn't even have a clue about pediatric cancers. It's never been in either one of our families. So it was a scary word, but it was not a common word for us to hear. All they could tell me was that it's a cancer. Neuro has to do with nerves. So it was in the nervous system. It started in his left adrenal gland. He had his original. So first steps to do was to biopsy the tumor, do what they call an MIBG scan, which scan will light up all cancer, active cancer inside the body. So it'll be able to tell us where all the active cancer was,
Okay.
which was in his left adrenal gland. That was where his tumor originated, but it had spread to his liver, and his liver blew up over his whole abdomen. That's why his stomach blown up like a balloon. It was all liver. There was no stomach. Still to this day, he has an enlarged liver because the cancer attacked his liver so aggressively.
Okay. So where to from there? What happened after that? I know that's what no family wants to hear.
They told us that news that, not definitively that he had cancer, but, they had to do all these tests to actually prove 100% that he had cancer. Immediately, they needed to do blood transfusion, platelet transfusion, because his hemoglobin, his blood count was severely low, and he was just in very, very bad shape. Here's a picture of him at diagnosis.
Wow. Okay. Yep.
That was Christmas Eve. He had his first chemo.
Yeah. So, that was the day before Christmas Eve was when they told us he needed the blood transfusion and platelet transfusion. And in order to go into emergency chemo on Christmas Eve, save his life.
Wow. That's a rough start. Totally rough start. What happened since? So it was that was almost 2 years ago now. What happened after that? So what have you learned that most people don't know?
He's done very good, considering all these toxic treatments. It's poison. It's really poison that just kills everything in the body. It attacks everything, bad and good cells, and that's why a lot of children and adults need other medications to help them recover from the toxic treatment.
Yeah,
it's also sad in itself.
It's also painful too, isn't it? I believe.
Very painful. I couldn't even imagine. I haven't gone through it, but I've watched my son go through it, and I've heard his screams.
I can't fathom what that would be like, especially for a mother, let alone a father, having to watch that happen. I know you're trying to do the best for your child, but still, I can't compare.
Yeah. So, after he told us about the transfusions, he gave us statistics, percentage amounts of survival chances, which that was my first question after he told us that our kid had cancer.
This your pediatrician?
This was our oncologist, the cancer doctor.
Okay.
That told us. These are all percentage amounts that he told us. They're based on treatments that kids receive that are just strictly chemo and radiation-based treatments and stem cell transplants, toxic, harmful treatments. He told us after our son completes the COG protocol, which is the protocol he started, and that includes chemo, 2 stem cell transplants, 12 rounds of radiation, and then 6 months of immunotherapy. After he completes all of that, if he comes back no evidence of disease, which is, he has no more cancer, if those results, he has a 66% chance of surviving within 5 years after he completes that treatment.
Okay, so it's right. So it's basically 6 months where you find out whether you will hit 66% success, possibility of success. How's that?
Yeah. He was actually just declared April 28th of this year.
So that's when he was cleared?
NED, which is no evidence of disease. He's cancer-free right now as of April 28th. But he sailed. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack. I'm sorry. I fast-forwarded a little bit. He started that emergency round of chemo. He went through that first 6 cycles of chemo. Each cycle involves 2 to 3 different chemo drugs that are given over a week period or a 2-week period.
Okay.
He had a little trouble with the 4th round. There was a drug called doxorubicin, and he developed a symptom of that chemo drug called mucositis. And mostly all kids with cancer will just absolutely horrible. It's very bad mouth sores that develop in the mouth. It's very dry in the mouth. That your lips are dry. These sores develop all the way down your GI tract and go all the way to the colon. So it's excruciating pain, even to swallow, or if you have to use the bathroom. And there's no medicine that can help. They have numbing medicine that will help numb the throat, so you can try to drink, but you just have to ride it out, and that's very brutal. He went through that 3 times through this whole treatment.
Well, so with a child so young, there's no explanation. He's just constantly crying, right? Basically,
exactly.
Day and night.
That's another hard thing is, he's not able to talk, so we have to read his body language as parents and dictate those decisions we think need to be made.
It's I can see even from that, just the effect on you guys as a family. It must be horrendously hard to go through that. I know a sick child is bad enough, but then you or the family members, lack of sleep, everything else makes it a lot harder.
It is very, very stressful. It makes the situation 100 times harder. From day one of getting diagnosed, I researched countlessly. I stayed up almost every night just researching. And, just learning as much as I could in case these doctors were to happen to miss something. I know they're very good at their jobs, but I just felt like, us as parents, that is our job, is to stand up, to be the voice for our kid. We did a great job.
The doctors did, or you did?
Yeah, during his first stem cell transplant, Caiden had, so stem cell transplant involves very high dose chemo. It's not like a regular dose chemo for the regular cycles he had the first time. It's almost triple the amount of chemo that he receives, and he receives 2 different kinds of chemo. And that's when, during his first stem cell, had stooling, which it was way more stooling than he had input. He had way more output than input, which caused him to get dehydrated very fast. His kidneys started shutting down because they weren't working properly. The doctors had no idea. It sent him to the PICU with kidney failure for 12 hours.
Oh, on top of it. Nice.
They did every test they could think about in the book, and everything came back negative. And they had no idea what to do. They ended up giving him a bicarb liquid, which helped stabilize some of the stooling. But it came down to my research on something that's called VIP, secreting neuroblastoma, which is very rare. Neuroblastoma within itself counts for 8% cancers.
8% off? I missed that part.
Huh? Neuroblastoma, that's the cancer that my son had. It accounts for 8% of all childhood cancers.
Okay.
So for that 8%, only 1% of those cases of neuroblastoma are VIP secreting neuroblastoma cases.
Oh, okay.
VIP stands for vasoactive intestinal peptide. So that little, and it's a hormone, that little hormone lives inside these cancer cells. And when the chemo kills these cancer cells, it releases this hormone into his GI tract, and it severely damaged his GI tract, and it thinned out the wall, and he couldn't soak up any of the liquid. So it was just straight water all the time. So I told him, all your tests are coming back negative. This is what I've found. Let's send the test out, because it's a blood test, the test for VIP. That test happens to take 4 weeks to come back. 4 weeks.
Well,
these test results. Yeah. So I told him, please send the test out and start him on the treatment for VIP. Please do this, and let's see if it works. It's a shot twice a day, and it's octreotide shots, which are shots for hormones. And it's not for VIP hormones, but it's for different kind of hormones. The day later, his stooling stopped. In the PICU, it stopped. And he did a complete turnaround in a day. It was crazy. And this stem cell doctor had never had a patient with VIP before.
Oh, okay.
He was completely stunned. Heard about it, but he had never actually had a patient with VIP, let alone us discovering he actually had it during stem cell transplant. That's something that should have been discovered when he was diagnosed.
Let's you've been through the ringer a lot. Can you tell me how this has affected the rest of your family, other children, even down to your financial side? I don't understand a lot about the American medical system, so you need to educate me a little bit on that too.
It's this is just my opinion. The medical system in America is a joke. I mean, people will get help. It's just a joke to me. Through this whole entire experience, I've learned about natural methods of healing. And I believe in so much about plant power, and it is crazy. I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but so far about the financial hardship. I mean, we had to quit our jobs right away. We lived in Texas when we got diagnosed, and we had no family there. My wife or I did not. So we were on our own through the whole treatment there, and it was very hard. We had 2 daughters as well, an 11-year-old and a 6, about, what was it, 4
months after he was diagnosed.
4 months when he was diagnosed, after he was diagnosed. We had to send our oldest to California with her grandmother because we were in the hospital constantly.
Yeah, okay, so you sort of split your family apart. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we had to make that choice. It was very hard to do.
Wow, how did your 6-year-old take it?
I got pictures of that day, and it was not a good day. That goodbye was not a goodbye. Not a good goodbye. They spent 11 months apart, and then we had to finally make the very hard decision to send our 6-year-old out there as well.
Yep.
Be with her sister. Missed her so much. And we couldn't be selfish and bring her home, because what Caiden was dealing with, they have school, they need to be kids as well.
Was in a hospital.
So, she went out. We promised them that we would reunite as soon as Caiden got better.
How long have they been out there now?
And that day did. Yes, we eventually transferred from Texas to California to finish Caiden's treatment. After his second stem cell transplant, we got told he still had cancer in his liver. and he still had residual tumor cells where his tumor used to be. And then they wanted to do the next step of treatment, which was 12 rounds of radiation. And that's brutal. After watching everything he went through, it was brutal to try to digest, more poison.
Yeah.
More toxic. And we'll see if this works. They can't tell us 100% this is going to work. This is all we hope that will work. That's all they can tell you.
Yeah. Have you looked at other alternatives?
That's at the point where I stepped back and told them, give me a week, please, just to decide. I need to look at other options. I'm not so sure this is the right one for my son. And I met through about 3 days of research. I talked to a dozen people about natural healing, and I came across one lady who's a very, very dear friend of mine now. And I attribute her and her partner's effort for Caidens NED today. They have a protocol called CART protocol, and it's Cannabis Protocol.
Yep, I've heard a little bit about it.
A lot of people shine it off, but this plant is very, very important, I think, for healing and even curing cancer. It really does kill cancer cells. My son is. So I talked to her. I talked to her partner, Marco, which is a neurobiologist. I talked to him 3 days straight, and he schooled me on radiation. He schooled me on as much as he could in 3 days to make my decision. And I made it. We went along with going with this protocol. And the first step to that is nutrition. Actually, it's not cannabis. It's nutrition. Nutrition is the number one important thing in anyone's life. If you don't have cancer, nutrition still should be number one in your life. What we put in our bodies, we should take a look at very much. There's so much poisonous foods that are in grocery stores, on grocery store shelves, and telling us what's in our food. And
it's important to note that we're not going to try and change those industries, or that this is purely opinion, and that's just us discussing it. I don't want to make any promises or any false hopes or lead anybody in any particular direction. Okay. You get all that?
You broke up.
Okay, so it's important to note that this is just a discussion. It's not promises in any particular path. It's just that what we are discussing, what you've gone through, and it's no promises or pure hopes to anybody else watching it. I just want to make that clear.
Yes, correct. I agree. Yes. This was exactly what my son's gone through. Yep.
Okay. So currently he is cancer free. Is that right?
Yes. So we're going to 11 months of that treatment that we just talked about. And we did say no to radiation. And I started him on that protocol I just talked about. 5 months on that protocol and changing his diet, changing his nutrition. Those scans came back clear. 11 months of those toxic treatments did not work. Did not kill all that cancer he had.
So with all the changes and sending your daughters out to California, you moving out to California, what sort of cost, give me a ballpark cost was involved in that?
Tens of thousands of dollars that we are indebted in to several cancer foundations. This is how we've been able to survive since diagnosis, is cancer foundations. They've stepped in They've helped us so much, and we are so blessed and grateful. The amount of generosity we've received.
Oh, that's great. Hey, look, it's fantastic to hear your story, Zach. And both, you could bring your little man up just so I can see him. I can't see him.
He's snacking on crackers.
Oh, look at that. Cool. So we'll sort of finish it off now. I think, no, at least at the moment, you've got a good outcome and you need to make the best and enjoy having him in the family. For anyone watching this video, please share this interview and pass it on just so that as many people can see what's going on in the world. And I'm going to put the link to the GoFundMe campaign that Zach and his family has got set up, and you'll be able to go through and register and possibly help them out in the future. Now, any help to recover some of the funds to carry on with their life or make the best of their son. You know, you still really have no idea how long he's going to be around. So let's see if we can help you and make the best of what you have right now.
Relapse all the way until he's an adult.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It still can be an option. So, hey, say that again.
Yeah, we're gonna keep fighting every day.
You have to. You're parents. That's what parents have to do, especially in this situation. There's no turning back. And I salute you. It's a challenge. So we'll finish it off there. Hey, look, as I said, please share this video at the bottom to everybody watching, and please check out the link below this video. So bye, Zach. See you guys later.
Bye.
See you guys. Thank you very much.